If I had a nickel for every disappointment from Star Wars, I'd have enough money to buy the franchise back from Disney.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
In the modern age, big budget failures are very common. From big budget movies with hundreds of millions of dollars in losses to video games with hundreds of millions of dollars in losses, entertainment costs are spiraling out of control as fewer and fewer things become profitable. The reason for these failures are numerous. A game like Concord failed for many reasons. Just look at it. Nothing that looks like that works in today's world, but that's a failure for another time. Star Wars Outlaws, the newest failure from the Star Wars pantheon, was released about a month ago, and it's underwhelming everyone. Like other expensive Star Wars products, Outlaws is a mess. Now, the main reason it failed is you. You people are the reason so many of these great games, shows, and movies fail. It's all your fault. Well, that's what they want you to think. Wait, you thought I was gonna go woke on you? Come on now, I'm world class. I don't blame the fans, I blame stupidity, and Star Wars Outlaws looked pretty stupid. But the reasons it failed were even dumber. But that didn't stop Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot from blaming the gamers for the poor sales, citing they had extraordinary expectations that are difficult to meet. Really? Extraordinary expectations? Yeah, that's bullshit and it's not even world class. Come on, we only expect a game to work, but according to Ubisoft, that is far too much to ask for. I don't know about you, but I love to spend $70 on a game that's full of bugs. It's a game from bugs, with bugs, and it's time to squash them all. These bugs were so embarrassing. Players found themselves stuck in midair during chases, NPCs magically disappeared during critical missions, and stealth sections turned into laughable messes where enemies ignored the player completely or spotted them through walls. And let's not forget the crashes. They make this guy in Return of the Jedi look like a good pilot. Right in the middle of intense battles, the game would decide to give up, throwing you back to the home screen. It was a comedy of errors, except no one was laughing. So the real question is, how bad is this game doing? Well, it's worse than you expect, and we're all loving it. Outlaws has struggled to meet expectations, selling just 1 million copies in its first month, a disappointing performance for such a high-profile release. This was a stark contrast to Ubisoft's earlier hits such as Assassin's Creed Mirage, which sold 5 million copies over a similar period. The game's lackluster sales and overall reception raise critical questions, not only about the future of Ubisoft's franchise, but also about a broader trajectory of Star Wars games and licensed games in general. Okay, it's really just Star Wars games, because Spider-Man games are doing pretty great these days, but don't even get me started on that crap from DC. What is this? Seriously. To understand how far Star Wars Outlaws fell from its mark, it's important to analyze the hard numbers and compare them with Ubisoft's early projections for the game. According to sources, Ubisoft originally anticipated much higher sales, with JP Morgan reporting a target of 7.5 million units sold by March of 2025. However, in light of the current performance, that estimate has been downgraded to 5.5 million. This revision is based on the game's failure to maintain consumer excitement and dwindling sales numbers seen post-launch. If Outlaws sells 5.5 million copies, I'll eat a Wookiee on stream. Again, only 1 month after its release, the game has only sold 1 million copies worldwide. This is particularly a problem because if you consider other smaller titles like Lies of P from an unknown Korean studio, which reached the same sales figures in a similar time frame, that's incredibly embarrassing. The fact that a lesser-known game from an independent studio could achieve similar sales suggests a deeper problem inside Ubisoft and the waning power of Star Wars. Like I said a moment ago, one of the most glaring reasons for its Hoth-like reception were the game's technical issues at launch. On social media, numerous players posted clips highlighting these flaws, which rapidly tarnished the game's reputation and diminished the excitement surrounding the game. Let's be honest, there was very little excitement around the game, but I'm trying to be objective here. While Ubisoft moved swiftly to patch many of these issues, the initial damage was significant, and it appears that many potential buyers were discouraged from purchasing the game. Oh no. How sad. Moreover, for the last decade, there's been a sense of fatigue among players when it comes to Ubisoft's signature open-world formula. Star Wars Outlaws, despite being set in a once-beloved universe, failed to differentiate itself from other Ubisoft games that follow similar structure. This was a problem for a franchise like Star Wars, where fans used to expect innovation and creative storytelling. Instead, they were met with a boring, repetitive experience, much like the newer films. Beyond gameplay and technical issues, Ubisoft's marketing approach may have also played a role in the game's underperformance. The game's initial trailer allegedly generated significant hype, with fans excited about the prospect of an immersive open-world Star Wars adventure. However, as the game's release date approached, anticipation waned due to a lack of compelling new footage and gameplay. Additionally, there was limited presence on major streaming platforms where content creators could have potentially generated buzz around the game. On top of that, Star Wars is dead. The decline of Star Wars in popularity has been well documented here. Hell, according to ardent defenders, it's my fault personally. Ignore the fact that the decline can be attributed to a mix of creative missteps, oversaturated, and terrible projects. The sequel trilogy in particular alienated most of the fanbase due to inconsistent storytelling and controversial character arcs. Additionally, the influx of new Star Wars content, spin-off films, TV shows, merchandise, and a lot more overwhelmed audiences, diminishing the franchise's once special allure. Fans became frustrated with political agendas and lackluster narratives that failed to capture the original magic of the saga, leading to widespread disillusionment. The lack of enthusiasm has bled into every aspect of Star Wars. I guess that phantom audience Disney wanted doesn't buy games as well. Who would have thought that? The reduced visibility contributed to the diminishing interest in this game even before it was released. After release, the reception has been a mixture of surprise, disappointment, and concern. Many fans of Star Wars are shocked by the game's poor sales figures. However, those are the same social media pundits that don't buy anything but push for the change. In various gaming forums, players have debated reasons behind the game's poor sales. Some have speculated the failure of Star Wars Outlaws is indicative of a larger issue with Ubisoft. The company has struggled in recent years to meet consumer expectations, and the problems seen in Outlaws may be symptomatic of a deeper crisis within the studio. This is reflected in comments that Ubisoft's reliance on formulaic game development, lack of innovation, and failure to effectively respond to player feedback has alienated a significant portion of the fanbase. Moreover, there's an increasing trend among gamers to wait for discounted completed editions of Ubisoft games that include all the downloadable content and bug fixes rather than purchasing games at launch and suffering. While this approach has been beneficial for players, it has significantly impacted sales figures for Ubisoft titles, and Star Wars Outlaws seems to have suffered as a result. While the Star Wars brand has historically been a strong asset in gaming, that is no longer the case, and Outlaws is just another game in a series of failures. Since 2015, Star Wars games have seen a sharp decline in both critical reception and player satisfaction, largely due to a series of high-profile disappointments. The release of Star Wars Battlefront in 2015 was met with heavy criticism for its lack of content, thin progression system, and a reliance on expensive DLC. The follow-up, Battlefront 2, faced even harsher backlash due to its aggressive microtransaction system, which led to accusations of pay-to-win mechanics. This debacle soured many fans of the franchise's gaming prospects. Compounding this decline, EA, the primary license holder at the time, struggled to deliver consistently engaging games. While the Jedi Fallen Order series is a rare bright spot, the overall output has been underwhelming. Several promising projects were cancelled, leaving fans frustrated and skeptical about the future of Star Wars and gaming. This lack of innovative games in a universe ripe with storytelling potential has only deepened a sense of disappointment among players. These players feel increasingly disconnected from modern games, especially when you consider the high standards set by earlier titles like Rogue Squadron, Episode 1 Racer, and Knights of the Old Republic. The continuous cycle of disappointment has eroded trust, making it harder for new Star Wars games to capture the excitement and engagement of fans, once guaranteed by the power of the Force. Ultimately, the disappointing performance of Star Wars Outlaws serves as a reminder that even the most beloved franchises are not immune to failure. Star Wars Outlaws represents not just a gaming disappointment, but a full-scale disaster for Ubisoft, revealing deep cracks in both the company's vision and the stale state of the gaming industry. Ubisoft dared to promise fans the galaxy, only to deliver a bug-ridden, broken mess that fell flat in every conceivable way. A month after release, a Star Wars game sold a paltry 1 million copies. An embarrassing result that solidifies what fans have been saying for years. Star Wars is dead. The staggering failure of Star Wars Outlaws is not just about numbers, but it reflects a growing disillusionment with Ubisoft's lazy, formulaic approach and distaste of all things Star Wars. While players clamored for an immersive, boundary-pushing experience, Ubisoft delivered yet another rehash of its tired open-world formula, utterly devoid of the magic of Star Wars. What could have been something truly special became a showcase for everything wrong with modern game development. Sloppy execution, unoriginal design, and a complete disconnect from the desires of the fanbase. What a great time to be a gamer. So folks, are you surprised with this news? Let me know down in the comments below. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. Folks, we're getting close to 200K, so hit that thumbs up button to let YouTube know that you enjoy this content and share it out. All of our content is only possible because of wonderful viewers like you. So folks, thank you very much. And if you want to be involved with more WCBS, well, join our Patreon page. Soon you'll be an executive producer, your name will appear on screen, and we can do even more as we grow past 200K onto a million billion subscribers. So folks, thank you for watching. I'll be back next time with more. But in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool. Go to shopwcbs.com to get our new Schlocktoberfest t-shirt featuring all of us as Garbage Pail Kids running away from the evil Buffalo Jeff. But always be excellent to each other. Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to StealingSolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the reward-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to StealingSolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs.